Now, the thing about the lens choice, it's sort of psychological. How do you want the audience to feel? What's their perspective on the image you're showing them? It's the effect you want to create for the audience. And the language is not something written down by filmmakers. It's something experienced in the world by us as we translate what we see.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
I always like primes because I like the fact that it forces you to make a decision where you're going to put the camera and what lens are you going to put it on. Very few films where I've really gone outside the sort of palette of lenses I would normally use. Standardly, I would kind of like an over-the-shoulder would be a 32 or 35. A mid-shot would be a 35 or 40. Standard close-up would be a 50. And a big close-up would be a 65 or a 75. A lot of people shoot a lot longer, a lot of people shoot a lot wider. Look at Chivo and shooting the Revenant on a 12mm and a 14mm. I don't usually have a zoom lens in my package on a film, but then sometimes you want a particular shot that is a zoom shot. It's such a sloppy thing to say, oh, well, we'll just put it on a zoom so we don't have to move the camera, we can go in for a close-up.
Relationships never work. I don't know why waste my time.
What makes you say that?
It's not that easy, Johnny.
Well, you should be happy, Mark.
Yeah, I know. Life is too short.
You've gone in on 100mm on a zoom to shoot a close-up instead of moving the camera into somebody on a 50mm. But then that all balances out with what's the perspective of the film. If the film is from one character's perspective, for instance, you want to shoot them on the wider lens. If the person they're talking to is not the main character, you don't want them to feature so much, then maybe you shoot them on a longer lens, so they feel like it's more from the perspective of your main character.
Hey, you've been getting on fine without one.
What's that, madam?
A soul.
1917, we only used one lens. We had to use one lens because it was one shot. Here we are, very thankful for this camera. Thank you very much. And so we deliberately didn't do a wide lens. We didn't want that feeling of seeing the whole world. I mean, a long discussions with Sam about how we were going to narrow it down and actually use it so there was slightly less depth of field. We didn't see around the characters. So we basically ended up shooting on a 40, which was equivalent of maybe 32. So it acted like a wider lens, but you still had that sense of slightly focused on the character with a drop off onto the backgrounds.
Driver, move off.
So many films now, it's about coverage.
Just photograph everything.
But those films that we really like, those classic films weren't. John Ford never shot coverage. He shot the shot he wanted. You know, he tracked out the door with John Wayne into the wide emptiness. It was very specific. Obviously, they didn't have the technology we have now. They don't have the way of moving the camera we have now, but look what they created. Real stories with human emotions. Anytime I talk to a director I haven't worked with and I get approached about shooting a film, I say, well, how do you like to shoot? Do you like zoom lenses? Do you like multiple cameras? I remember discussing with Joel and Ethan, Hudsucker Proxy was quite a stylized film. It was quite exuberant in the camera moves. was quite a lot of wide lens work, deliberately for the reason to make the camera feel active and make a lot of the spaces seem bigger than they were. Everything wanted to be slightly larger than life in a way. And then when that film didn't do so well at the box office, the guys decided to do Fargo, which is something they had in mind for a long time, and it was very low budget.
So we got a trooper pull someone over, we got a shooting, these folks drive by, there's a high-speed pursuit, ends here, and then this execution type deal.
Yeah.
The thing about the lenses was they wanted the feeling of it being almost like a documentary reconstruction of something, you know, a real true event. So we talked about shooting that slightly longer lenses. We didn't always shoot on a 40 or 50 mil, but it was slightly longer lenses than it had been on Hudsucker. 35 or 40 mil was more standard for us.
So where are you girls from? Chaska, Le Sueur, but I went to high school in White Bear Lake. You know, go Bears.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, is that useful to you?
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was shooting documentaries, I used to shoot on a 16 mil, and I used to shoot on a 5.9-57 little short zoom, which is a great little lens. But then when I started doing drama, I moved to shooting on prime lenses. One of the first films I did was a Super 16 film, and I took a load of contact stills lenses and had them adapted to work with an Arton 16mm camera just to get the best quality image I could.
Ton père est mort, chérie. Tu as tué ton père.
I don't like artifacts. I don't like flares. I don't like vignetting. If I want to destroy the image or create a vignette, I'll do it as a particular effect with a particular lens, like on Jesse James. Years and years ago, I was doing an effect in a cinema short, it was, and I wanted a certain vignetting effect, and I had an old stills lens. So I took the front element off and put it in front of a standard 50mm lens for a 35mm film camera. And just played with the distance and stuff away from the lens to get that sort of effect. So when we did Jesse James, that's why I talked to Otto Nemesis about manufacturing something similar to that idea.
Where the hell have you been?
Enjoying death.
It's the lens choice, it's the frame, it's what's in the frame, the balance of the frame, whether it's a formal, symmetrical frame, whether it's off balance. It's such a complex palette that you've got to play with. Colors, light. That's what's wonderful about it, really.
You look lonely.